What's going on, guys? And we are back here later, a little bit later than usual, but we're back here nonetheless. Had a little brief little power outage and internet outage, but I'm here and we are here. Back for another edition of FanDuel Friday, NFL edition though. Here with my main guy TJ Zwarych. How are you doing, TJ? How's everything?
Doing well. I'm really enjoying this football slate we're looking at today. And I'm excited to fully dive in because it's an interesting one. We've been talking strategy a little bit while we got ourselves set up. So I'm ready to help the people out as well. And it's a fun one. I think we're going to make some money.
Yes, I think it's a really, really fun, interesting slate tonight. Well, not tonight, on Sunday. I think there's a number of different ways you could go and a lot of sneaky spots, but definitely somewhere where you can get different and I think make a lot of money tonight. So, TJ, real quick, what is your overview on this whole slate this week? Being that now we're about to go on to week 4 of the NFL.
To me, it's a week to keep a more condensed player pool at quarterback because we have no Patrick Mahomes on this slate. A couple other big teams aren't on the main slate. And I just see Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts as guys that have so much higher of a ceiling than everyone else. Now, maybe they don't hit it. Maybe they have bad games. Maybe there's a good defensive game plan that slows them down. But those three to me this week are the guys that just have ceilings way higher than everybody else's. So I'm going to be working to get overweight on them, even though they are the three highest owned quarterbacks this week. And I'm looking at a couple others as well for team stack purposes, game stack purposes. But for me, this week is it's a week not to get cute at quarterback. I'm not getting cute at tight end, and I'm gonna mix and match a bunch of different receivers and running backs.
Actually a pretty good strategy for this week. I'm probably a little bit more. I guess we can say we're opposite this week. Um, I like those guys at the top a lot. I do, but when I first took this slate, I just fell in love with one guy and just wanted to use him a lot, and that is Geno Smith and Marcus Mariota. Geno Smith, Marcus Mariota, and a guy like Jared Goff. But it might be more so played on the other side. But for golf, but Geno Smith is like my top overall guy with the weapons he has, and just attacking that Detroit defense being the one of the worst in the league. But I do like another couple of the guys that we can get sneaky at here in this spot too, on this slate too. So I mentioned Marcus Mariota going against Cleveland. I think that Cleveland defense is going to be uh, without. I think they're going to be without both their Diaz and Clowney and in Garrett. Garrett being in a car accident. Hope he's feeling all right. And Clowney with I think his foot being out again with that. Don't get me wrong, I do like a guy like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen today, but I just think about the defense, the game plan for the defense and how they're going to play them. They could possibly go off, but they're also really expensive too. And there's some other guys in other positions that I definitely want to try to get a lot of exposure to today. And yeah, and one a sneaky guy though that I think I might have today too, that I'll talk to a little bit, a little more insight on is a guy like Justin Herbert, who is not getting as old as I think he should be on the slate. Um, and how do you feel about a guy like Jalen Hurts? Uh, like I know he's going to be probably the most popular, but I don't know. Like around the industry, he's not getting really talked about as much. Um, as from what I'm hearing, at least from these other two, even though he's the highest projected.
I love Jalen Hurts this week, and I don't think any QB is going to be coming in higher than 15 top 20% owned this week, even in big tournaments. And so Hurts is somebody I'm definitely planning on getting at least double the field on. I'm trying to double Hurts, Allen, and Jackson this
Yep.
week. And the only other guys in my pool that I'm having, and I'm planning on running 150, are Mariota and Geno Smith. I'm not going to do Derek Carr. I'm not going to do Kyler Murray. That's the one I'm most scared of not having, I think, is Kyler Murray. And so maybe I'll hand build a couple Murray lineups in there after I run my 150. But Hurts he runs, his passing is so heavily improved. And so him, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Put him in a hat. Pick a name as to which one you like best. I'm actually filling that kind of spot out last, and if I have Goddard in my lineup or something like that, then yeah, I'm going to roll with Hurts. If I have Stephon Diggs, I'm going to roll with Josh Allen. And um, if I have Mark Andrews, I'm going to roll with Lamar Jackson. And so Hurts is the one I'm most likely to run out without any type of stack. But all three of those quarterbacks are just 1A, 1B, 1C for me today.
Completely understand, and I feel you on that. I like the Herbert call a lot. A Herbert call. I like the possibly missing out Kyler Murray too. That's a scary spot to think about. But the way he hasn't been running much lately, so it kind of makes me nervous to when it gets to him. Carr, I've said this about Carr all year. He hasn't thrown more than 2 touchdowns since God knows when. So until I see the upside, even though I think this is a good spot for him against Denver, I don't want to play him. Another guy I do have a little bit of interest in is Russell Wilson. I think we haven't seen Mr. Unlimited here. Haven't had like a good game since he's been in Denver, but I think this is a get right spot against Las Vegas Raiders defense that is prone to get attacked, especially more so in the passing game. And I think that he has two receivers that can take advantage of that: in Sutton and in Jerry Judy. I even think Alberto, if he gets a lot more playing time and not split, the share can get in on the action as well. And they have obviously a great run game too with Williams and Gordon, who also catch passes too. So those are all great options, and I think Russell could be very sneaky today as well, coming be very low owned too. Um, but how do you feel about I guess let's get to real quick. I guess this Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in that whole game. Since I said you said you love getting to them a lot. I know it's more so for their running ability. Is it more so because you think that they're going to be just relying on the pass heavy in these matchups, even though they have pretty good defenses, even though Baltimore has not shown that they can be great yet?
Well, the way I kind of see it is just Baltimore's defense has given up so many big plays. And against Buffalo, that's dangerous. I think Buffalo is going to come out and put up a bunch of points. They're going to be pissed off after the last week in Miami, and they're not dealing with that 100-degree heat anymore, which is what held them back last week. And I think we're going to see a hot start from Buffalo, and I don't think Baltimore's defense is going to be able to slow them down. And that kind of leaves me to think that we're going to end up seeing Baltimore from behind. And even though Buffalo is a very strong defense, I love the idea of just Lamar Jackson playing from 14 down the whole game. He's going to be running. He's going to be throwing bombs to Duvernay and Bateman. We're probably going to see 10 to 15 targets for Mark Andrews. And I even don't mind mixing in somebody that we talk about every Friday that hasn't paid off yet, but he's getting the usage. It's Isaiah Likely. And so it's these three guys that I adore. I'm gonna be playing a ton of them. Jackson's gonna be the one I'll be the most heavily overweight to in comparison to the field because I'm getting over 30% Hurts and Allen, still getting 25% Lamar Jackson as well. So he's gonna be the one I'll be most overweight on. And then the only quarterback that's currently not in my pool that we haven't talked about at all that I think is worth a mention is Trevor Lawrence. This Jacksonville offense has just been absolutely rolling so far. There's good stacking options with all three of his receivers. Lawrence is somebody I think that's worth mentioning, even though I'm not going to be playing him.
Yeah, he played well against the Chargers last game. Was very surprised at that. I think Jacksonville has a really good young team over there. They're building the right way, and their running backs are great. Their defense has been phenomenal so far. I really do believe in them and that kid. I think he's going to be great too. And it's definitely just someone you want to get a little bit of exposure to if you're running 150. But let's move on to running backs here. I think running backs is a straightforward but also very difficult situation we have going on because we got some injuries to monitor here with a guy like Christian McCaffrey, the CPAP here. But what are you looking at? Who's your top running backs, and how do you feel about the position today?
So my top running back is Jamal Williams with the announcement that we will not have DeAndre Swift this week. He's been getting a ton of work anyways, and now with Swift not in contention, I love Jamal Williams running wild. And my second favorite is another backup running back. It's Khalil Herbert. We saw the usage he got when David Montgomery went down last week. Montgomery is going to be out again this week, and so I absolutely love Herbert. He's in just stupidly incredible play on the other side, but FanDuel was wise to price him up. So at least we have that. He's not going to be ridiculously low owned, but I love him for tournaments. And then we got Saquon Barkley, who I think will be the chalkiest running back on the slate, if it's not Jamal Williams, and he's kind of right up there in the same tier. He's up there with Herbert and Jamal with me for my top tier favorite running backs. And then my second tier, I'm going towards this upper 8K range. It's Jonathan Taylor, it's Derrick Henry, and finally Austin Eckler as well. One of the reasons why I'm not getting to Justin Herbert this week is I really think they're going to lean on Austin Eckler. I think he's going to get more touches. I think he's going to get more carries. And I think they're going to handle Houston quite easily, and it's going to be on the back of Austin Eckler. So he's somebody I like getting to quite a bit for tournaments. I'll be underweight on Christian McCaffrey. It's scary, but he's missed a lot of practice this week. Maybe they don't give him 100% full workload with the 25 carries. And so McCaffrey is somebody I'm looking to go underweight on, and I'm pretty afraid about that. For tournaments, the other guys I'm kind of looking to in less abundance, but I'll be playing because I'm running 150 is I'll get a little bit of Craig Reynolds. Jamal Williams is back up. I won't play them in the same lineup, but I'll play a little bit of each one just in case he ends up being the one who goes off a little bit. Both of the Green Bay backs, again, not the same lineup, but I like both Jones and AJ Dillon. I think it's somewhat interesting to take shots on both the Philly running backs, Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell, because we're not going to have Boston Scott in this one. Gainwell, I think, is actually moderately interesting to have in a lineup with Jalen Hurts because he might get some targets. Miles Sanders is just somebody I'd want to put in a lineup where I'm not playing Jalen Hurts. I have a few other sprinkles like Pollard and Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary, Javonte Williams, and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not many guys I'm looking to get to. And one I did forget to mention that's in my pool is Ramondre Stevenson.
Okay, Ramondre Stevenson. Okay. Yeah, that's for the Patriots going against who they're playing against Green Bay this week. So that's not a bad option as well. I like those options. I'm pretty much high on all those guys. Like that's the interesting conversation I think we also need to have. Well, it's going to be had too is how old now is Saquon Barkley going to be come Sunday with Jamal Williams going to be probably the most popular back and Khalil Herbert. Even though they're priced at 7.2, that's still less than 8.1K. So, and with everyone now going to more running 4 wide receivers, because you have the fourth one being in the flex. That just leads me to believe that Barkley might be a little bit less popular compared to those two guys that are a little bit cheaper to save some money. But I don't mind the strategy this week of actually going with 3 running backs because they are some that are in some great spots here. Like you mentioned before with Barkley, Williams, Herbert. We got Taylor 2 up top. That's probably not going to get it's going to be left out of ownership wise too. A guy you didn't mention that I do like a good about is Nick Chubb. I think you mentioned him right, but I know
I did in passing at the end. He's somebody that I'm not getting to very much, but he is in my player pool.
I think because he's just so expensive. 9.2 is a steep price to pay, but the matchup is the best matchup on the board by far. It's just the price is what keeps him down, but he can destroy this price if he gets to the end zone twice. But that price also might cost you a spot where you can get someone else that puts up a nice little score, even though we have a good amount of value on this slate. I'd like getting to a guy like I like giving it to his backup though a lot too, which is Kareem Hunt. Another guy we already know he's getting about 12, about probably would say on average about 11 and a half touch carries on the season, and probably about 3.5 targets. So I don't mind taking Kareem Hunt today this week against Atlanta instead of Nick Chubb and being well over the weight because he's going to be low owned for sure, especially being at this price range. I do also like a guy like I like you mentioned Javonte Williams. I like him a lot, but I also do like Melvin Gordon. I think Melvin Gordon gets same amount of work like Kareem Hunt, but and he's been running really, really, really well. And as you can see, he's been getting work in the passing game too. I think that's going to continue to be for Melvin Gordon. Because Javante can catch the ball too as well though. But I think I like this option for him to be there in the low old tournament play that could pay off and get you to the top of leaderboards on Sunday. So another guy that I think I might want to get some exposure to, I think we need to mention is Josh Jacobs as well as 6,500. Another cheap back, just going against Denver. Denver's not the best at run blocking, but as you can see, I think we have the exposures. If this is right for RG being at 20%, I don't see that happening. Maybe we have to just wait till the update comes out for FanDuel, but 6.5 is a good price. But I don't know. I guess with their injuries and likely Hunter Renfrow not playing, maybe they think that they might rely on him a little bit more here. We'll see how that all shakes out. Will come Sunday with the ownership. But yeah, the other guy that I do like that you mentioned that up top, Austin Eckler coming in at 8% ownership. I think that's a fantastic a matchup for him against Houston, and the ownership's gonna be beautiful. And this guy's a top five RB in the league, obviously, especially fantasy, when he's getting the touches on as far as the rushing attempts and the targets. So I would not be surprised if he ends up having a monster game here in this spot against a team like Houston, who has been poor against the run. So I don't mind that as well. Najee Harris, I think he's worthy of a mention too, going against the Jets. Someone that we definitely need to pay attention to in this matchup. I know he's still dealing with that foot injury, but we know he can get there, and just by the amount of touches he's getting, he can pay off that. Bring off a big run or two. We saw what Chubb did to this defense, and he has just scored a couple touchdowns and be a whole different and be up there with the rest of them. Is there anyone else that you have that you want to mention?
Nope, that's basically it from me.
Okay. All right, so let's get to the wide receivers. So I think this is going to be the big position that's going to determine a lot of lineups on this slate. Just pick the right receivers that you want to go with it. Um, so, what are some of the guys that you like to get to at wide receiver today, and like, what is your strategies with them and playing them?
This is the position that made me decide that I want to run 150 lineups. Because at first look, I see Devontae Adams underpriced. I see Stephon Diggs in a great matchup. I want to play both of these guys. But if I'm paying up at QB and I want to get up to these mid-tier / expensive running backs, it's all of a sudden impossible to get to these guys up top unless I'm not paying up for Mark Andrews, who's my favorite tight end on the slate. So receiver is the position that made me want to MME this week because 90% of my lineups have 3 quarterbacks. I have 50% exposure as it stands right now on a Friday. This could absolutely change, but 50% exposure to Jamal Williams, 20 to 30 for JT and Khalil Herbert and Saquon Barkley, 15 for Henry and Eckler. So with all of that, all of a sudden I don't have a lot of money left here at receiver. So the expensive ones I'm getting the most of is Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams, but it's still less than 20% for both of them right now. The only receivers I'm getting to at above 20% are DJ Chark because we got Amon-Ra St. Brown out. I'm not messing around with the cheap QBs like Jared Goff on FanDuel, but I'm sure going to be getting his cheap receivers. And so DJ Chark is somebody that I'm going to be looking to. He's been getting a decent target share with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the lineup and should see a lot more without him. And then the other receiver who's actually my highest owned receiver this week is CeeDee Lamb. Even though we don't get Dak Prescott back, I don't really care. Cooper Rush has shown he's just going to throw it to this guy as many times as he can, and he's way cheaper than he should be. If he dropped the touchdown pass last week, that if he didn't, he probably would have had about 28 points, 30 points in that game. And so Lamb is somebody who just has a great opportunity share right now, and he is simply way too underpriced for the position that he's in. So he's somebody that I'm getting to the most, followed by Stephon Diggs. And then after that, it's kind of dictated based on the QBs that I'm playing. So because I'm playing Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, I'm getting to Devin Duvernay, Gabe Davis, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. That's the one I'm not really thrilled about that I'm sitting at 10% because that's just, is he going to do it again? Is this recency bias? I don't know. So I'm going to have to think about that one a little bit. He did have 7 targets in the second week, going up from week 1 where he was largely ignored. So he's somebody I'm going to get a piece of, but I don't think I'll play him at all unless I'm playing Jalen Hurts. The Seattle receivers I like, Metcalf and Lockett. The Giants receivers I like, especially Richie James. And then finally, there's just so many because like the Pittsburgh guys I like. Amari Cooper is somebody I want to get to. Christian Kirk, somebody I want to get to. Cortland Sutton, Michael Pittman Jr., Brandon Cooks, Mac Hollins, Drake London, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. Like, I want to play all of these guys. And so that's why I'm having a lot of exposures and tight exposures at my running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends. And I'm just playing a ton of receivers this week.
Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of makes me think about dabbing into doing 150 this week. Is just because of all these, like I said, these receivers, there's just so many good options, so many choices to choose from. And you don't even need run backs for some of them, honestly. You can just mix and match all these guys, especially with the prices being with the way they are. You gotta try to take advantage of these guys. And one of the big guys who I'm really looking forward to, hopefully playing, because I think Hunter Renfro. I think we both can agree that we don't think Renfro's playing. So I like Mac Hollins. I know his price came up, but this guy, even with Renfro playing, he was getting 8 targets. So like now we don't have it. He got 10 targets, 8 receptions, 156 yards, a touchdown. He's definitely in star for that. And he's gonna be the number. Even I think even when Renfro comes back, he's still probably gonna be the number 3, if not sometimes fourth, obviously target. But he might even jump to maybe number 2 at times, depending on the matchups, because he's been getting a lot more. Getting a lot more open than Hunter Renfro, so I don't mind him at all today. Um, you mentioned a Duvernay. I like Bateman. Duvernay has the only thing that bothers me with Duvernay is it's the targets. I think he's only had what, like 2 or 4 targets in each
4,
game.
7, and 5. So
No,
I don't
that's
mind
Bateman.
it. Oh,
Well,
that's
this is
Bateman. Sorry.
the Bateman. We're talking about Duvernay. You said Duvernay you were interested in, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize you had Bateman up. I thought it was
Yeah.
Duvernay.
No, Bateman. Like Bateman's gonna get. I think Bateman's definitely got more targets in every single game than than Duvernay. And
Yeah.
Duvernay just has a big playability. So I get that. Like in your like to me, I like playing Duvernay only in Lamar Jackson stacks. I
I
can't run
will not have, yeah, I won't have Duvernay in a single lineup that doesn't have Lamar Jackson, similar to Devontae Smith. I kind of
yeah,
view them the same. AJ
exactly.
Brown and Rashad Bateman, I view kind of them the same. Big
Yeah,
play upside. They can be alone in their lineups, and I like them in their stacks. But Duvernay and Devontae Smith, those will only be played with their quarterbacks. And it's just the reason I like Duvernay is just because it's that 5-7 price tag.
yeah.
If he catches a 50-yard bomb, all of a sudden that's pretty great to have with Lamar. But there are other great cheap options here, like Richie James, Chase Claypool, Devontae Parker if Jacoby Myers is out again.
I love
Even
that.
though it's
I love that
Brian.
Claypool call that you mentioned. I love that a lot.
I'm just at this price, I'm looking for guys that either are stepping into a bigger role like DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds, or have very big play upside like Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Devin Duvernay.
Yep. I completely agree with that. That Chase Claypool thing is could pay very, very, very big dividends because he does get involved a little bit in a rushing game as well, obviously. As being one of the like the second, the third option of the receiver wise for this team. So I do like it. Josh Reynolds, he got 10 targets I think last time against Seattle. I think he's definitely in store for a good matchup here against Seattle to be on track for that same type of workload. And the thing about this, I like him a lot more so probably than Shark, just because he has he has the familiarity with their golf playing in L.A. So that's the reason why I think I kind of like maybe lean more Reynolds, but Shark could easily do the same and obviously put up the numbers. What are you thinking about like this guy about DJ Moore? Like, how do you like? Do you feel like you want to get some exposure to him? Especially, I know the matchup is good, but the quarterback play is the one I think that's in question.
Because the field's getting to him, I'm not going to have as much as the field will, but it is an underprice for somebody of his talent. And so he's not somebody I'm comfortable full fading. I'm probably going to have about 10% of them.
Okay, just wanted to get your thoughts on that because that's to me, that's a tough spot. Like we know that Baker's not the best quarterback in the world. He has some good weeks, but he has not been playing well lately. So just wanted to get your feel on that. But yeah, I like everyone that we talked about. We mentioned. I guess I want to keep riding this Brandon Cooks trade until he pops. I think he will eventually and have a big game. And another guy, Deontay, you mentioned the Pittsburgh's guy, so another guy, obviously guy Deontay Johnson. I love him a lot. Probably gonna be someone I want to get a lot of exposure to. Just in general, he obviously has been getting targeted a lot. Number one receiver on that team, in a great position today. And Amari Cooper, I think you said you're getting a lot of him too, right? Uh,
Not as much as I want, but I do like him.
yeah, especially on FanDuel, like 7-5. I know it's a expensive price to pay up top, but 6-7% ownership. And look at what he's done the last two games. I think Stefanski just said, "Listen, get him the ball. Just pass him the ball. There's no reason why he should not get 10 targets." And they started feeding him, and the results have started to pay off already with two back-to-back 100-yard games, 9 and 7 receptions respectively, and a touchdown each. I think he definitely can do the same against his Atlanta team, who gets carved up in the passing game.
And
Um,
yeah, and don't get me wrong, like if the ownership projection we have for him stands, like so you got the blitz up right now, I believe, but in the RG projections, he's at projecting at 1%
oh
ownership
my
on FanDuel.
god,
I think it's looking like he might end up just being like a big DK play because of how cheap he is there. And on FanDuel, if relative to the projected ownership right now, yes, I am getting a lot of him.
yeah. That's what. Yeah, same here. I will get a lot of exposure to it for sure on FanDuel, just based on that. And obviously FanDuel. If you're first time listening to this and you don't play on FanDuel a lot, go first of all go sign up. It's a great site to play on. But also they are half point PPR, so uh they pretty much focus more so on touchdowns. Touchdowns is really more of the value on this site. So uh pretty much if anyone is going to be in your lineup, you have to pretty much think or assume that they're going to score a touchdown, or if not, get an insane amount of volume. That's the way I would put it at. But I definitely love Amari Cooper to get a touchdown, anytime touchdown. If you want to bet that on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, but I do love the spot for him a lot this week. We'll be well over the field on him for sure. Is there anyone else you want to get to at wide receiver that we missed out on talking about?
No, like there's some guys like Isaiah McKenzie that I'm considering in my stacks, but he's kind of tough to get to.
Yeah.
But it also always keeps his ownership low. That he never projects that well because his snap count's not that high. He shares a snap count. His targets rarely get all that high. They boosted up last week as Diggs and Davis were struggling with cramping, but the thing with Isaiah McKenzie, though, is they draw up specific Isaiah McKenzie plays because of how fast he is. And so even though he doesn't usually pick up a ton of targets or a ton of snaps, the ones he does pick up are very valuable. So he's somebody I like playing in my Josh Allen lineups. And that's really it for the most part for me. That's kind of the players I'm mostly looking at. It's going to be less of a stacking week than it usually is for me, just because there's so many of these cheap receivers I want to try fitting in. Like I'm going to get 5% Zay Jones, 5% Romeo Dobbs, 5% David Sills for the Giants. stuff like that. Like I'm just really doing some mixing and matching to hopefully find one of the optimal lineups with Hurts, Diggs, or Lamar.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand that for sure. And I think there's a lot of options that we left to so far that would definitely have a chance to go off and have a big game. So let's move on to tight end. I think that's going to be the position that's going to be most volatile. Uh, Nothing's really stand out this year so far besides obviously the two big name guys, but we only have one of them on the slate. In Mark Andrews. So, what is your thoughts on Mark Andrews and the rest of the tight ends on the slate?
Andrews is my favorite, so I have 3 times more Andrews than I have. And that's not true. I forgot that I bumped up some other exposures and dropped some others. So Andrews is still my most owned tight end. If he's really going to be about 15% or 10%, I'm going to try and at bare minimum double that. The next spot I like going though is we recently got word about DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown out, and so TJ Hawkinson is going to be my second favorite. He should be picking up some more targets here. His ownership should only be going up throughout the week, so be wary of that. But I'm currently running things right now where unless I'm playing sorry, what team are they going up against right now? I keep losing my Seattle. Unless I'm playing Seattle's defense, then I'm going to have like one of Jamal Williams, DJ Chark, or TJ Hawkinson in all of my lineups.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So me personally, this position I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try. I'm thinking if I should like. I have a couple different strategies I want to approach with this. I'm trying to think if I should build more, so I have whatever tight end with my stack, and just use that like to do double stacks with it, or should I just have just a random one off with a guy who I think can catch a touchdown and have the upside for a big game and good matchup. So like Andrews going against Buffalo, obviously I want to run him back with Lamar Jackson pretty much as a top receiver. I like Waller because I think Waller has a chance to get a lot of targets. With Hunter Renfrow, I think going to be out today, and we got just only him and Mac Hollins and Adams, Devontae Adams. Uh, Goddard's going to get targeted a lot in the Jacksonville defense, as we can see the ranking is 27th there. So I don't mind get to him, especially if he's going to be at 3%. I know the price is a little bit high. Kyle Pitts showed some promise in the first half of that game last week. Played really, really well, had a lot of targets, and just didn't get the touchdown against Seattle. But this matchup against Cleveland is going to be a little bit tougher, but they can be but with if they're going to be missing the two defensive ends, Kyle Pitts might not have to maybe be in a lot more on the as far as blocking a lot. It can go out and catch some passes. So I have some optimism. Going to pretty much decide with that one will come Sunday. But that's pretty much it. The main guys I want to get to besides TJ Hawkinson coming at lower ownership. I do like Gerald Everett a lot. With me, I definitely will have him randomly as one-offs, but also in a lot of my Justin Herbert stacks. I love Hubbard this week going against Houston and this defense. So I like Gerald Everett, especially if we get news that Keenan Allen will be out again. I think Everett will be an excellent play. And I also just want to give an honorable mention to Robert Tonyan. I think Robert Tonyan is always in store for a nice game because Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback and he's one of his most trusted receivers. So I don't mind him as well.
I was so high on Tonyan in the preseason, but it's just I guess he was up to 7 targets last game, and eventually they could start coming in the red zone. So you know what? I think I'm going to include Tonyan in my pool because he wasn't there before, and I think he should be. So you did that. Good work. Now I got Robert Tonyan in here as well. If he blows up, it's on you. I do have some guys in stacks like a Noah Fant that I'm going to include in the pool, but I like Kyle Pitts. I'm getting to a lot of him. I'll be over the field significantly on Dallas Goedert. Njoku's in my pool. Ertz is in my pool. Everett is right now, but he'll be taken out if Keenan Allen is in. And then I did just add Robert Tonyan in there as well. And so I'll remix and match my lineups here. I just got to make sure that I add to my group that I don't want more than one Green Bay player in a lineup this week. I'm not going to be running multiple of their running backs. I'm not going to do Dobbs and Tanyan together, but I do like getting to one Green Bay player in my lineups today. We don't have too many late night hammers, and I feel weird having the majority of my players coming at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I think the way the slate dictates it, um, that's how it's gonna be. Except for like that, I like that Denver game as a sneaky game. I'm gonna have a little bit of Russell Wilson too, just a tiny bit. Maybe I'm definitely gonna be over the field, but I think Russell Wilson it can easily blow up here and have a good game. So that's just one guy I'm looking to possibly get some exposure to, and see what happens and go from there. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Let's get to some. Let's touch on defense real quick. Do you have any defenses that you think will stand out, or is it just random for you?
It's going to be random for me this week. I usually mix and match, but because I am in need of salary, I'm not going to be playing any of the expensive ones. The most expensive defense I'll be getting to is the Buffalo Bills, who, even though I love Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, the Bills can cause some havoc and they could score a defensive touchdown and do some slate breaking stuff. So, Bills are going to be my most expensive D. And in my most recent build that just finished right now, I have my most exposed defense is 10%, and that's the Jets, Commanders, Cardinals, Raiders, Patriots, and Colts.
Nice, nice. Yeah, me, it's gonna probably be like I want to say this. I want to say the same, definitely the same as far as random, but I do like getting to like the Packers a little bit, a lot. But I'm interested also kind of spending down. I know we touched previously on the show about the Patriots. I'm gonna look into that more because that might not be a bad play. That might be a really, really, really good play. Because we know that game's gonna be a slow pace, tempo game, and Patriots defense, at least their front, is not that bad compared to the front of the Green Bay Packers. But we'll see. I do also like the Colts. I still like Jacksonville's defense here against Philly too, even though I have some exposure uh the quarterback to Hurts on the other side. Jacksonville has a young, good defensive line. They've been playing really, really, really well lately to begin the season, so I'm able to take some shots at them and see what happens, especially at the low ownership they're going to be at too.
All right, I'll put a little cap in there and keep him in the pool. This is going to be a position like receiver for me today, where
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of randomness to it. Um, I'm going to be keeping tight pools certain places, but defense isn't going to be one of them because I
yeah,
really don't have one that I want to be taking a stand on. And you know what? I've tried to take some defensive stands the last couple weeks, and
it
it
burned
just
you.
it burned me. Like it's just
Yeah.
never gone well. And so I think I'm gonna just be done with that.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I feel like I happen to be like, I used to do that a lot, especially like last year. I took a lot of stands on defensive thinking, okay, this defense is going to go off. I'm just going to play a lot of them. And then, like you said, you get burned really bad. So I think I've just learned my lesson. Just pretty much probably try to take out the weak ones. You know, they're going to get probably a lot of scoring put on, but that don't have a chance really for interceptions, even on an up tempo matchup. But then grab a nice chunk of them that can play really well, keep the game close, and can pick off the ball, create a turnover at any given moment, and then you should be good to go. So, Cowboys, I think we mentioned that before, that they're another option that comes to mind when I think about that too, for sure. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll add the Cowboys into my pool. I'm gonna put some more of the expensive ones in there just in case. Like that's my biggest thing is because I am keeping such a tight quarterback pool and stuff like that. If a defense breaks the slate, I don't want to be stuck without them this week. Like
yeah,
if Hurts, Allen, or like there's a good chance that if Hurts, Allen, or Lamar Jackson are the leading scorer, I'm going to have the defense that breaks the slate with one of those guys. So that's kind of the mindset I'm going with is try and get a vast multitude of players who could break the slate, with the quarterbacks I think are the most likely to do so. And then just I'll take my L if Russell Wilson or Jared Goff or Mitch Trubisky have a huge game this week.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I want to have a little bit more exposure to those guys. Mitchell Trubisky, I can't do it. Good luck to those who do it though. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for us today. Any last news or advice you want to give the people before we get out of here for the week?
No, I think that's everything. Good luck. Stay tuned to the injury report. We just got some things like Josh Reynolds and DJ Chark are also now listed as questionable for Detroit. So Detroit likely, I'm assuming, is just having those on them for who knows what reason because they've had a somewhat limited practice. But I can't imagine that those guys don't play. And if they don't, well, then maybe that is a defense I'm going to take a stand on is Seattle's.
Yeah, and Keenan Allen also just got ruled out. So
he did.
Yes. So Justin Herbert also is out on injury report, so he's in. So I think, yeah, I love the Herbert, Williams, Palmer's a good option as a receiver too, but I think we can put back in a pool now. And I do like the Everett call that I made before. So
I agree. I'm going to be getting to quite a bit more of these pass catchers now. And that's actually like a specific strategy that I'm trying to do is because of all the QBs that I'm not playing, like Justin Herbert and some of these Pittsburgh guys, some of these Jacksonville guys, some of these Detroit guys, I will get a lot of them percentages wise, even though I'm not playing the QBs. I'm just never going to have more than one of them in my lineup. So my thought process is I want the receiver that goes for 100 yards and 1 touchdown, but hopefully the quarterback doesn't throw for 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you on that. And now that makes the call of also Eckler a lot more valuable. I just hope I don't know if his ownership is going to go up that high just based on the price. So I think there'll still be a low owned grade play for tournaments today.
Yeah, I am with you there 100%.
Yep. So, well, I think that'll be it for this show. Good luck, guys, and we'll get out of here. And hopefully, if you guys do win somebody, send us some screenshots on Twitter or Instagram. But where can they find you actually, TJ, on Twitter?
All the socials, TJ_Zwarych5. I do my best to balance my fantasy sports content with all the Agents of Fandom stuff I'm putting out right now. But, we got so much content that we're popping out that there's usually something that everybody can enjoy anyways.
Yes, definitely for sure. And yes, check out Agents of Fandom. It's a great site to check out and listen to the podcast that they have over there. And you can catch me on Twitter, Jersey26_DFS or Jersey26 on Instagram. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them and help you guys out. We're going to get out of here, guys. Have a good one and see you later.